Streaming. All right. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Eternal Flames. My name's Blaze. This here is Sasquatch. And we are doing World Builders. For those who have been here before, you don't need the spiel. For those who have not been here before, World Builders is literally us talking about how to build worlds, how to build different parts of worlds, character building, city building, you name it. Because world building, when it comes to games, when it comes to TTRPGs, when it comes to book writing, is very much all the same. You are trying to build a world in which people can immerse themselves in. Now, that being said, tonight we are going to be going over something a bit different for one of my TTRPG games, Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And normally Pathfinder still follows some of the rules from D&D, some of the same basic ideals, but we like to build our own stuff, and we are going to smash that right open today because we are going to get rid of the 9 hells. Which some people are like, what the fuck are you talking about, getting rid of the 9 hells? Are you just going to do hell, or what are you going to do here? Well, here's the thing. I'm going to go with a version of the ethereal known as the EverAfter, which for some might make sense, for others they might be going, huh? And that's okay. So let's get down to what the EverAfter is. And Sasquatch, I don't think we ever got the vote. Do we want to do post-war, or do we want to do post-revival?
And again, I was asking in the green room how much the Artemis Revolution had affected it, and you said wait for the stream.
Okay, well then we're gonna have to fix that then, aren't we?
Yes.
So here's how this is going to have to go, and I need to literally clear my map here because oh boy, I need this map to be completely filled in for what I'm about to do. So here's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna be writing some lore. So back in World of Estrangia, we had the elves, right?
Yep.
And the elves were kind of a weird pseudo-futuristic race. Flying cars, guns, you name it. Now, in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, we're already kind of at that point. Granted, their mode of air transportation is still maybe a little bit backwards comparatively, but not by too terribly much. We've obviously seen the Empire already is more than happy to use guns technology, and even use some technology that would probably closely represent something more similar to, what would you say, 1940s, 1950s?
Thereabout, yeah.
I mean, we're basically going with steel zeppelins, more or less. So, yeah. Okay, so having said that, let's talk a little bit of world building as far as the history of the EverAfter, and then we can decide from there. So we've already decided, though, the elves are against the demons, or at least were.
Correct.
The way we're going to write this is, so the elves got into a war with the demons, and for a time they both kind of shared the EverAfter. They did have a small place in reality as well, but the EverAfter was their sanctuary away from the physical plane. Now, having that sanctuary definitely changes some things, right? It makes a huge difference as to like how you go about certain things, how you go about like, oh hey, what's a safe place, what's not a safe place and all that. I would say probably during the height of their war, they were probably almost exclusively in the EverAfter. Okay?
Okay.
They were probably having their war just at the end when the revolution was happening.
Okay, so kind of a parallel concepts almost.
Yeah. And because of that parallel conflict, we can honestly say without a shadow of a doubt that no, the elves and the demons probably didn't give two fucks about the other war because it didn't concern them. They were too busy with their own war. They had too much other stuff going on.
Makes sense.
Now, since then, demons have been incarcerated in the EverAfter. Elves fled to reality. So somewhere in the world, there is this nation of elves that keeps to itself, probably keeps hidden, right? Either using magic or spells, and basically is trying to keep itself separate from the rest of the world while still doing their elven business. In the meantime, the demons were trapped and have semi-recently been released. The curse that has held them in the EverAfter no longer holds them there, necessarily. Now, that being said, up until this point, demons could only cross over if they either came at specific times through certain loopholes, or if they, why did it build the bedroom like this? What is this? Okay, I'm gonna have to... I need to fix this. This needs to go. Okay, there we go. Okay, so demons can now walk around in regular daylight and all that again. The war with the elves is obviously long gone, but there's some reasonable resentment between them.
As one would expect, yes.
I mean, when you've been in prison for so damn long, you tend to build up some resentment and hate.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, while they are free, they still tend to hold to certain traditions. And while they don't have just a straight up hatred for the elves anymore, it still doesn't change the fact that they're not going to get along.
Yeah, no.
But they will try their best to deal with stuff. Now, Tride's probably going to join us. Neat. Now, having said that, right, moving along from that bit of lore, demons, like anybody else, need familiars. Okay, any good spellcaster is going to have some kind of familiar, and they prefer what can better be described as sentient familiars. Part of this is because of the war, because when you need to do a massive spell, you need something that's going to be able to hold a lot more magic. Something that can actually think and work its own brain is a lot more useful than just a slightly enhanced rat.
Correct.
So, they have a bad habit of collecting familiars. Now, how they collect familiars is through deals. Now, we already know how this song and dance works.
Yeah.
Technically, and this is where Demon probably could have benefited from sticking around. the way that they make these deals. Ah, damn it. All right. Control Z, Control Z. There we go. Nope. How do I move forward? Shit, I don't remember that. Edit, redo, Control Y. There we go. Okay, cool. Now, sorry, I'm enjoying my pizza. The way they do this is they have what it can literally be described as a 3-strike rule, which is generally a personal glyph followed with a circle around it and then so many scratch marks. Now, these scratch marks literally indicate the number of deals that or debts you have not repaid. It is in a demon's better interest to not let you pay those debts. If anything, it's encouraged to make sure that you keep acquiring debt.
Kind of like America.
Once you get 3 strikes, they own your soul. That's it. No return to whatever. They literally strip you of your soul. They take your body, and they turn your body into a familiar. You're still perfectly cognizant. You're still perfectly capable. But so long as they have your soul, they have your will entangled in theirs. So they can quite literally use and abuse you however they see fit, so long as it meets their purposes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Try. You missed some fun.
Oh, okay.
Now, like I said, they are encouraged to be like this. However, that's not to say that all of them are like that. And because it's kind of looked or frowned down upon to just spirit people away, they are trying to find what can best be described as legal ways to do this. Though most people will accept that if someone is taking favors from a demon, they kind of probably deserve it. Which, as much as I hate to say it, sadly kind of makes sense. Now, because of the war, demons have this, we're going to call it a habit of living underground. How's it look, love?
A little crispy.
A little crispy? Yes.
Okay.
The oven actually runs a little bit cooler than what the thing says on top. Now, having said that, like I said, the demons, due to the war, have a bad habit of living underground. They also have a bad habit of making what can better be described as a tulpa. Tulpas are memories made physical. That is important. So, let's say Zon Krok, right?
Hello.
Wants a tulpa of his bedroom when he was 8. First off, he would need a female demon to have seen it. Has to be female. Very specific. This isn't because of gender bias. It actually has to do specifically with the fact that female demons have the capability of doing bigger and stronger magic because their bodies have to withstand the magic of unborn children. So quite literally, they are just more capable than a male demon when it comes to stuff. However, to complete the tulpa, a male demon then has to extract the memory from the female demon, which means he has to get into her head and lift the memory from her mind to allow her to release it and make it into a physical object. Once the physical object is made, it can always be reset back to the memory. However, this also means that changes cannot be made permanently to a tulpa. This also means that if the female and male do not agree or consent or anything like that, it cannot be made. Because it is a risky business to start with. Okay, so having that knowledge, Sasquatch,
Yeah.
I give you the question once again. Should we do pre-war or post-war? Because either way, they're still probably going to live underground, but they're more likely to venture out into the sun in a post-revival versus a post-war. Post-war, they will just permanently be underground. Post-revival, they're more likely to actually get out, wander around, walk through the forest, probably be a little bit nicer because their living space isn't a hellscape.
Probably post-revival then.
Okay. By the way, Tripe, we are rewriting the Hells. Welcome to the show.
Okay. Yeah, I was only part of that campaign for just a little bit, so.
Mm-mm.
Oh, not that
No.
one? Okay.
I mean, we are rewriting the 9 Hells into something entirely different.
Ah.
Specifically for this campaign. And it partially has to do with my GM NPC, or my GM PC. I cannot call it a GM NPC because I will be playing him.
Ah.
Now, demons can still be summoned. However, they do not like to be summoned. They actually get really pissy if you summon them. And there are several reasons for that. First major reason is if you're eating dinner and some schmuck suddenly decides, hey, I want to go ask for a favor. Doesn't call, doesn't ask, doesn't do anything like that, just randomly starts, chanting, and you're suddenly feeling like you're being pulled inside out to go deal with some unlucky schmuck who thinks he is better than you, that you are some kind of tool, how would you act?
No, I would kill him.
Yeah, just that. Oh yeah, no, they will absolutely get feisty over it. Understandably. I think anybody would. But you can also see why they're like, if you summon uninvited, they're going to get really pissy. Now, there are ways around that. First off is call them, ask, and let them know ahead of time. Or maybe have a prearranged time and date or whatever. But yeah, the other thing you can do is you can trap them in a spell circle. Spelling circles have the ability to, within reason, hold them. And what I mean by hold them, I mean like keep them from directly attacking you right off the bat. which I would like to think is reasonable enough. Oh, why are you being such a pain in my ass? Sorry, I'm trying to design our new one of our new NPCs things real quick.
Ah,
The guy I was literally talking about. So, for the record, I'm going to talk a little bit about the character, and maybe this will help you understand. So, we're going to talk a little bit about Al. Yes, No, I do not want to end the process. I want you to fucking work is what I want. Al is an ex-familiar trader. Now, that should already ding in Sasquatch's head.
Yep.
Because, once again, they used to spirit away familiars after they got 3 strikes. Which means he is a master deal maker. But he is also the character who would sell them. Basically get them on the market for other demons who are not as good at that job. Oh, come on. For lack of better terms, Troy understands, that makes him a slave trader.
oh, fine.
An ex-slave trader. Once again, to kind of let Troy know what's going on here. This means that while this is something that Al used to do, he doesn't do it anymore. And this was mostly from back when demons were incarcerated in the EverAfter. AKA, since they're no longer incarcerated, since they're no longer trapped, he is more willing to be open about other avenues. And while he's still not against, that's what I'm looking for. Jesus criminy Christmas. It took way too much effort to get just that one object. I have no idea why my program's lagging out so dang bad right now. I don't know what the heck they did to it, but it is chugging right now. Give me just a second. I'm going to close that. Close that. There we go. Okay, it was literally Opera being an ass. Alright, so now everything's working properly, as it should. So, Al is an ex-slave trader. He is not a happy person by general standard. However, despite his pride, despite everything, he is generally pro-change and pro-doing the right thing when possible. There are some demonic practices that have happened in the past that he is not okay with, but he also understands that it is part of his culture, and regardless of what he is happy with and what he is not happy with, it happened, it was a thing, and it is done and gone. But not all demons are going to think that way. And he fully well understands that and will try to keep people out of trouble within reason. He's also not a front to letting you guys hang yourselves. So, now comes a time for a law in demon culture that I know some people are going to be like, well, that should be a law in real life. Try. Sasquatch. We are going to talk about the law of uncommon stupidity.
All right. What makes it so uncommon?
Well, no, that's the kicker. The law of uncommon stupidity basically states that if you do something uncommonly stupid, you are required to serve jail time. So, by that law, if you were to visit the demon realm and do something so horrendously stupid and get caught, you will be tried for uncommon stupidity.
So Logan Paul and Sekigahara got ya.
Oh, absolutely. A great example, as much as I hate to throw another player under the bus, what Syndria did last session, trying to take down that beast, being a rogue, trying to do a barbarian-style feat. While Syndria is probably capable of it, anybody else would probably look at her and go, that's just really dumb. And she would be charged and barred for at least a week with the by the law of uncommon stupidity. So yeah, take that however you want. Now, once again, demons are not necessarily evil. They're not necessarily good. They are jaded. That's a big one, is they are, for all intents and purposes, extremely jaded. It looks like it turned out pretty good. Now, and once again, here's another fun one. And this is more for a try than anybody else. Demons have the... And I say this because your character is religious, so you would know this. Demons like to prey on fear. Not in the normal way either. They like people being afraid. They think it's funny. They think it's hilarious. They like to make it as stupid and silly as possible, but they will turn into whatever you fear most. So, I hate throwing you under this bus right now, Zong, or I'm just calling you by your character name. That's probably a good thing to some degree. To some degree, try what is Zonkrock most afraid of?
You will have to repeat that because my headset was dying, so.
What is Zonkrock most afraid of? Because if you don't say something right off the bat, I've got something in mind.
Mainly losing himself in a certain way. Like, or losing everything that you actually hold dear and all that. I'm going to be completely honest.
So, I guess in this particular case, you know what? I've got a better idea. You said losing yourself in a specific way? How about the one person you hate and you're hunting were to show up? And they literally just start strutting around in front of you, taunting you, pushing you to try and be that thing that you're not.
All right.
The one Naga lady that you once were infatuated with? Yeah. If she were to show up and just start, like, sauntering in front of you, literally egging you on, blaming you for your father's death, blaming you for your mother's death, blaming you for the fall of the kingdom originally. Literally just goading you nonstop.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that would be...
I would lose my ever-loving mind.
And that's kind of the entire pitch. It's the idea of provoking, is probably the better word. getting the players to react. Which I need to ask all my players the same question, so don't feel too bad, because I got to do this to everybody. And it's partially to do with just how demons work and react. They very much prey on people's fears. And it's partially because it gets them a better deal. It gets people more shooken up. It makes people do stuff that they normally wouldn't do.
Okay.
Well, think about it. If you're either stark raving angry, right? Or if you're frustrated or flustered or whatever, you're more likely to make a bad decision than a good one, right? You're more likely to either act
Yeah.
out in aggression or act out in fear. You're going to make a rash decision, is probably the better way to put it. And that's a big thing. You know, that's what they're aiming for. They want you to make that bad life choice. They want you to make that bad deal. Because that bad deal means they get another mark on you. Which, I don't know if you were here for that. Were you here when I talked about demon marks?
No.
Okay. Demon marks are a glyph that is marked on your body. That glyph then has a circle around it, and then you get a certain number of strikes. 1 strike, not a problem. It's a debt to be repaid. 2 strikes, a bit of a problem, but just more debts. 3 strikes, and you're done. They gain your soul, and they use your body as a sentient familiar. Because a sentient familiar
Alright.
can do better and stronger spells than a normal familiar. Now, having said all this, having gotten all this together, let's get back a little bit to the EverAfter. So the EverAfter is where these guys live. They live and thrive here in this one space, giving them something of an absolute control over it now that they're free. Sorry. With them being free, they very much enjoy the idea of bending laws. If they appear in different areas, they will agree to laws. They will follow laws, but they will bend them to all unholy hell. They very much like the idea of they're working within a rule system that can't actually entrap them in anything. It's fun. It's funny. It's enjoyable. It's almost silly.
Alright.
But here's the thing, you also need to be able to enforce those rules. If you can't enforce the rules on the demons, they're not going to listen. Which I think that's true of anybody. If you can't enforce the rules, they're not going to listen to the rules. Why should they? Why would they?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now, we've gone over Tulpas. We've gone over the EverAfter, which the post-revival is they are going to be in an EverAfter that has been reborn, and they're less aggressive and salty. Granted, they're still salty, just less so. Okay, I think I've got most of Al's area done. I think there's just one last area that he would very much appreciate. Do. And I need to go into garden. Okay, so let's talk about demons in this particular case now. Demons are very much a cosmic power. They are capable of warping and twisting reality. They do not like to use normal spells like everybody else would. They actually prefer to use something probably more akin to a curse. Curses are generally a mixture of both alchemy and spellcasting, more like high-level magic. Okay? Now, that being said, it's not saying that they can't use other magics, more of just a preference. And granted, this preference also obviously gets them into a little bit of trouble here and there, because that preference obviously comes with issues. Now, while it is what they're capable of, the other things to keep in mind is this means that they are perfectly capable of most forms of high magic. They do not like elven magic, and they are perfectly happy to shapeshift at will to whatever they want. They also have what can best be described as a clean and prep spell, which isn't a healing spell. It's more akin to prestidigitation on steroids. Who here remembers what prestidigitation actually is?
It is a oh god. It's an illusion, I believe, right?
Yes and no. So prestidigitation allows you to either make a mark or symbol about the size of the palm of your hand in a three-dimensional space, right? So about 2-inch, 3-inch box. But it also allows you to clean or sully any form of thing within your reach, as well as it's basically cleanup. Let me see if I could bring up the spell real quick on this computer. So, oh, jeez. Sorry, allergies. There we go. Prestidigitation. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Prestidigitation.
So-
You create a instantaneous harmless sensory effects such as shower, sparkles, puff of wind, faint magical notes, or odd odor. You can instantly light or snuff out candles, a torch, or a campfire. Instantly clean or soil an object no longer than 1 cubic foot, though they can actually do something more equivalent to the entirety of their body. You can chill, warm, or flavor up to 1 cubic foot of non-living matter for 1 hour. You can color a small mark or symbol appear on an object on a surface for 1 hour, and you can create a non-magical trinket or illusionary image that it fits in your hand and lasts until the end of your next turn. Basically, imagine that, but more as a level 5 spell instead of a cantrip. So the effects are more permanent, but at the same time, while the effects are more permanent, it in the end is mostly just for show.
All right.
Right, it's called the clean and trim curse. That's what it was. They normally use it to kind of make themselves look less bloody or less beaten up. They make it so that their clothes aren't ripped or torn. It's very much like a tulpa, where they kind of reverse it back to its quote-unquote original state to a certain degree. However, stuff that happens over time, like naturally, they cannot completely reverse. So some stuff like, old swords or all that aren't magical in nature will eventually rust or tarnish or whatever. So there are limits.
All right.
Now, so far, how's that sound to you, Sasquatch?
So far, so good. I'm with you.
Okay, let's move on to a couple other things. Like, how do you get to the EverAfter? Well, you get to the EverAfter generally through ley lines. Ley lines are a form of magical energy that binds the EverAfter to reality. They are all over the place. They're generally invisible to the public. But for those who know what they're looking for, they can find it. They are still magical in nature, no matter how you look at it. And they definitely do their best to try to make things work, if you would. Now, if there are no ley lines, there's no magic, which means as long as there are ley lines, there are demons. As long as there are demons, there are ley lines. And as long as either one of them exists, that means everybody can do the hocus pocus.
And we'll turn ourselves around, yes.
Now, since you can get back and forth through the ley lines, and it's the demon's only major way of getting around aside from, of course, circles and portals, this kind of leaves what we talk about with communication. So communication is generally either done through mirrors or through specialized setups. A great example is Tyson's Table. Because if you remember, Tyson's Table basically tied into the demonic realm as how Sindria and Sun Yolo actually got their curse in the first place, right? Well, the demon on the other side of that curse is going to be Al. And while Al is the one who helped Tyson do it, it was more him trying to get, or it's more Tyson trying to pay Al by forcing his favors onto somebody else. It's the reason why they don't have any immediate demon mark. Instead, they're just chained. The idea is they owe Tyson, and therefore Tyson no longer holds his demon mark, but instead has basically given it away to Sindria and Sanyolo separately in such a way that his favors are basically being paid through his minions. Yes, Fury. You cannot come up here right now. I am sorry. However, if Sindria and Sanyolo choose to, they can choose to get rid of Tyson's curse and instead quite literally choose to take on their own individual demon marks. If they choose to take on their own individual demon marks, it would mean that they would have more control of their lives, but they would owe Al directly. Which, on one end, once again, gives them a bit of control. On the other end, Al's not going to be sympathetic to stupidity. So, take that how you will.
All right. So this will be beneficial for, while also being really bad for both Sun Yolo and Sindria.
Yes. Sun Yolo actually... I said no. Sun Yolo seems more likely to pay off his debt. Sadly, Sindria seems less likely, but that's because Sindria has a bit more of an ego. And once again, you've got to remember that you're dealing with demons. You've got to try to play it smart. One rule to keep in mind when dealing with demons is if you think you got the better end of the deal, you did not. If you think you know everything that the rules have entailed, you most definitely do not. If you think that there's nothing they can do to stop or...
Down.
Wow, he's being a brat today. If you think that there's nothing they can do, you're wrong. And if you think that they're just doing something out of the goodness of their heart, they're probably not.
No.
Now, on that same note, once again, they are not evil incarnate. They are not out strictly to do harm. Which means if they seem like they're not trying to help, but suddenly something seems weirdly beneficial, that actually probably means that they're trying to help you in a way that doesn't necessarily make them look weak or fragile. They are definitely the kinds of people that they are more than happy to do nice things. What is with these big ones? They are more likely to do something nice and friendly as long as they are not being seen doing something nice or friendly. Once again, because they can shapeshift, this also means that they are very likely to try to do something friendly in the guise of someone else. So, in the case of you, Zonkroc, right? They would show up and they might show up as Kit, but something would be off, something would be awkward, but they would offer help, and then they would just, disappear somehow. Make it so that they weren't actually there. If you call them out on it, though, I can almost guarantee you the help will end. Because they don't like being caught. Not unless they are trying to do something nasty or devilish. There is a telltale. And Sasquatch is going to love this telltale. There are two things that make demons seem like demons. First off, they will smell a burnt amber. The second thing, they have, generally speaking, goat-slitted eyes. Now, they can change their eyes. It's just a pain in the ass to do. But if you look them in the eye and you see goat-slitted eyes, it's a demon. If you don't see goat-slitted eyes, it's not a demon. Well, it's probably not a demon. I'm sure Sasquatch will have fun with that. Now, the next thing that we have to go over is summoning names. So I mentioned Al, because Al is going to be my in. Partially because I like the character from the books, but also partially because he has the most well-known name among demons. So you've got the name in which you will call them normally, because you're not trying to summon them, you're not trying to do whatever, and it's not a big deal. The second thing that you will hear is their summoning name. Their summoning name is very important. It's almost like a password. It is quite literally them going, hey, this is how you get a hold of me, and they try to keep them secret with few exceptions. Al obviously being one of those exceptions because, once again, he's an ex-familiar trader. It was part of his job to lure people in, get them caught, and then sell them off. His full name is Algeliarept. And the reason why that's such a big deal is because it tells you how demon names come about. Demon names come about under the idea that you're throwing up a bunch of weird, obtuse, like, syllables and everything else. Whatever sounds the weirdest at the time, right? Just so that people can't guess your password, for lack of better terms. Because once again, these are not people that like to be disturbed necessarily. These are people that you could be summoning them while they're eating. You could be summoning them. You could be summoning them while they're stirring a spell. You could be summoning them while they're sleeping. No one wants to be interrupted during that crap. I mean, that's just fucking rude. So once again, aside from Al, a lot of other demons are going to try their absolute damnedest to keep that name as to themselves as possible. Now, I've talked enough about Al. Let's actually talk about another demon entirely. We're going to talk about Dolly. Now, remember how I said demons can kind of show up as whatever they like? Al likes to show up as a mid-30s, prime and proper English lord. So he likes to show up with a ponytail, smoke-tinted glasses, and a green felt coat. Now, the other demon that I'm about to talk about, which, once again, I think Sasquatch is going to enjoy, his name is Dolly. I will not say his full name because no one needs to be summoning this asshole. Dolly likes to show up as, once again, middle-aged man, probably in late 30s, early 40s, slightly overweight, heavy suit, kind of looks like a mobster. Now, what makes Dolly special is, remember how earlier I mentioned tulpas? Memory is made manifest. Dolly likes to run a restaurant called, of course, Dolly's. Or Dolliance's. Dolly's restaurant is run by a jukebox. Said jukebox has a bunch of different tulpas in it. From stuff that is from the desert with camels and, you know, lamb, mutton, roasting everybody in togas, to ancient Roman, to even elven ruins or elven cities. You name it. There's even a strip club somewhere in that jukebox, though I don't recommend it. Apparently whoever created it tried to remember a vampiric strip dancer. Yeah. Nothing like tall, dark, and handsome with long teeth sitting on stage dancing around.
You'd be amazed how many women would like that.
Oh, yeah. No, that's entirely why it's there. Because remember, only women can make the original memory, and then men have to pull it free. So, someone was apparently randy one night and was like, hey, yeah, this would make for a great thing. So, yeah, you've got Dolly's, and Dolly is good at his job. There's one major rule at Dolliance's. You have to fit in.
Oh.
Which
so
means
somebody like my character would not.
Well, no, not necessarily. You have to fit in means that you have to match the motif. So if it's a strip club, yeah, you can walk in with, you know, suit and tie and all that and be perfectly fine, or you could walk in with street clothes. Either one's fine. However, if it's the middle of the desert, you're expected to wear like turbans, togas, stuff like that. If it's an ancient elven city, you're expected to wear like tunics, sashes, trousers, stuff like that. So the rule of thumb is, if you're at Dolly's, you have to fit in.
All right.
The other major thing to note is... Sorry, I got sniffles because of allergies. The other major thing to note is, once again... Oh, no, stop that. Demons do not trade generally in coin unless you have so much of it that they are willing to accept it. They like to trade in favors, which, like I said earlier, if you're not a demon, or hell, even if you are a demon, could end up with... Okay. Copy. Paste. Could end up with you owing a demon mark, which you probably don't want.
All right.
So keep in mind that ordering at dalliances, unless you can trade a favor, not a great idea. And once again, favors can be traded between people too. So if you say, have Al owe you a favor, you can trade Al's favor to Dolly for whatever he's serving at the time. It's a very weird barter system, but they also don't like money because they think money tends to be more of a nuisance. They think it's a very inefficient commerce system.
All right.
And there we go. Now, because of that, Dolly can have almost anything in that damn jukebox. So if you can get a coin for the jukebox, you could change it to almost whatever. Once again, you could change it to the strip club. You could change it to the middle of the desert. You could change it to a picnic in the middle of the woods. Hell, if you're really lucky, maybe Grandma's Cottage is in that week. Literally get, Grandma's Cottage going and the Big Bad Wolf and all that going.
All right.
Okay. Let's get back to the EverAfter. So we mentioned that it's post-revival. Post-revival means that it is a clean, pristine landscape. It is going to be smaller than normal Ozzy Mistra. Because it is smaller, this means that you probably have to travel less. Oh, I only want the one floor. Only ground floor. There we go. You have to travel less there to get farther distance in reality. But because it mimics reality to a certain degree, this just means that there's less travel range between islands in the EverAfter than there would be normally. So this means you probably have to travel half, if even that, maybe closer to a fourth of the time in the EverAfter to get to a place faster. Though if you're willing to risk a demon mark, the demon can probably transpose you wherever you need to be. Just keep in mind that that's a quick way to rack up demon marks. And it's a mark per person. Unless you're
Okay.
on real friendly terms with whichever demon you're talking to. Once again, this also means that the landscape there is unblemished. So it's a great place to rest. It's a great place to hang out. It's a great place to get away from potential danger. But even to try and get to the EverAfter, if you don't know where a ley line is or how to use it, it's not going to matter. You're going to have to ask a demon to even go through the lines to begin with. Okay, so now that we've established that, let's establish the temperament of demons. Demons do not like to be controlled. They do not like to be circled. They do not like to be summoned without prior consent. Can you talk to them through the different lines and stuff like that? Technically, yes. Should you do that? Debatable.
Really, no. But,
Well, once again, it depends on how good of terms you are in on. In the case of Al, I'm going to put you guys on semi-friendly terms. And the only reason why I say semi-friendly terms is because he's going to be willing to help you guys to a degree without asking for a favor. Which means no demon mark or anything like that. However, keep in mind that he is easily annoyed and quick to be heated. He's also not afraid to scare the living shit out of you guys. Not only that, but do not, under any circumstances, make fun of his godchildren. So, Sasquatch, because you chose post-revival, he has 2 godchildren right now that are 2 years old.
Okay.
They're both elves.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it has not won him friends among the Demon Collective. Which I will get into the Demon Collective a little bit, or here in a bit, but yeah. He has 2 godchildren. One's name is Lucy, the other's name is Ray. Ray is a bit of a chatty little pain in the ass. But while she's not entirely all that smart, she is more than happy to speak up and get stuff kind of going and get her will known. Lucy is a lot more quiet, a lot more solemn, a lot more introverted. However, Lucy is a lot smarter as well, a lot craftier, and knows how to get her way without having to be as vocal. Once again, they are both elves, and because, once again, demons and elves don't normally get along, it's a bit of a weird situation for Al. However, he loves those 2 kids. He loves them to death. If anything bad ever happened to those kids, or if anything out of place ever happened, he's more likely to turn someone into a red mist than anything else. Okay.
So, in other words, Son Yellow has to keep his mouth shut. Same with Sandria.
Oh, absolutely. Then again, they probably don't know that the war even existed, so that's actually probably to their benefit. You, on the other hand, as a whole... Oh, yeah, no.
They're making fun of his godchildren, and yes.
Oh, yeah, no, they would, they'd find his hatred real quick. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the demon...
Oh, sorry. As for my character, yeah, he would know the ins and outs.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the Demon Collective. The Demon Collective is a result of the war. It is a neural network between demons that allows them to communicate without much effort. Because of this, they can basically telepathically send messages to one another with a bit of effort and a bit of will. Think of it kind of like an old school party line where everybody can talk on the same line, but you've got a dozen different conversations happening all at once. However, in the Demon Collective, there's also something called the Vault. The Vault is where they keep all of their high-level spells. All of their high-level spells are at their beck and fingertips. However, they are locked away on purpose to prevent cataclysmic effect. They want a world to live in. Because of that, this means that they are willing to tuck away their most dangerous spells in the idea of preventing another horrendous war. However, if that vault is opened, it means that even a fledgling demon could technically summon a meteor storm onto an enemy. So all demons at all given times, so long as they are part of the collective, are dangerous.
Neat.
Yes. However, considering like the youngest of demons are still hundreds, if not at least 1,000 years old, yeah, a fledgling would be dangerous regardless. However, this also means that they can talk to one another just fine without anything else. This also means that they can actually interact and trade with one another point blank without any issues as well. This means that, say you get a demon mark from different demons, so one from Dolly, one from Al. Whoever got it first technically gets priority custody. However, whoever gets 2 marks over the other's 1 gets priority custody, providing the person who has 1 is willing to sell. So keep that in mind. If you try to play the field, you're likely to still be tied in as a familiar. Yep.
Fun.
Once again, these guys don't exactly play nice, but I'm trying to stick you guys in friendly terms with Al, because Al's going to see the situation, probably be mad at Tyson, and is then going to tie Syndria and Sun Yellow in with a demon mark, but the demon mark's going to be in trade of the curse. So the curse will go bye-bye. They'll no longer be bound to Tyson, but instead they'll owe Al a favor. Something also to consider is, depending on the size of the favor, depends on what they ask of you. So if they're going to save your life, you're getting a demon mark no matter what, unless you have something they really, really want.
As of right now, we have nothing that they want. So
Oh yeah, no, if anything, Al's basically going to tie up loose ends. He by getting Syndria and Sun Yellow to owe him directly, he's technically doubling his bargaining chips. But for doubling his bargaining chips, it means that he's making a profit no matter what. Once again, remember what I said earlier. If you think you're getting the better end of the deal, you're probably not. In this case, Syndria and Sun Yellow are technically getting the worst end of the deal. However, it's probably still to their benefit, because being out from under the mob will give them more freedom. It will be Al's way of being nice without actually being nice, if that makes any sense.
yeah,
So once again, doesn't show weakness or anything like that, still shows him as a demon, but is also giving you guys a flying chance in hell to kind of cover your ass. He'll probably also stitch you guys up and heal you guys to a certain degree. Try to make you guys functional again. And probably ring you guys a little bit. It's also a good way for me to play with some of your guys' characters. Something else about demons. Demons can tell what your names are. AKA, if they don't see you guys as much of anything, they will use all 3 of your names. First, middle, and last. Unless you don't have a middle or a last name.
uh-huh.
Well, a great example is fairies and pixies don't live long. So they generally only have 1 name. Or they might have a clan name. However, that's about it. However, for you, Zonkrok, you would have probably 3 names being a holy man, if not more. And that's just it. If you have a 12 name long thing, they will know all 12 names. And they will call you by all 12 names. Because they see
So
it as...
next character needs to have 100 names.
names, not titles. There's a difference.
I'm just gonna throw in so many names. go through the alphabet.
But that's also what makes Ruin such an interesting character. Remember, Ruin is a number of different characters with a fragmented soul. Which means that technically Ruin can't become a familiar, because they can't claim his full soul. Not only that, but every single body that his soul inhabits has a different set of names. So if anything, Owl's gonna look at Ruin and go, "What the bloody hell are you?" I mean, I know what I'm saying, but that's not everything. That's mother puss bucket. I am not giving out favors for just shards of a soul. That's like sitting there and ordering a pizza and getting only a slice and a pile of shit. Listen, I've had a lot of books to get used to the way he talks. Anyways. So, because I've only gotten over 2 demons, this leaves us a lot of room to get other demons involved. This also gives us a bit of room to expand the EverAfter. If you ever try to find Owl's home from the surface, you'll only find a wagon and a campfire. From the wagon, he's actually got a circle in it, and that circle will actually bring you to his main house, which is underground, and is quite expansive. And he likes his house. He likes his house a lot. It also took him a long time to get his house back, because when the slave trade kind of, dried up, it also means that his finances kind of dried up. He has since mostly been a teacher. I say mostly because obviously if people are going to be dumb enough, he's still going to put them as familiars, even if only temporarily, to teach them a lesson. Once again, the law of uncommon stupidity. If you're being uncommonly stupid, you're going to serve your time. It just doesn't mean a full lifetime like it used to. Doesn't change the fact that when you're spitting fireballs out of your nostrils, you're probably going to regret your life choices. Oh, right. Demons are semi-immortal. I say semi because it's not like they don't age or they can't be killed. It's more like the clean and trim curse that I mentioned earlier that cleans them up, right? Resets their cellular structure to their what they consider their prime, which means for whatever reason, Dolly's prime was a mid to late 30-year-old, slightly overweight mobster. But this, because it resets them, means that he will always be that age so long as he continues to use that curse over and over and over again. Same thing with Al. Al would be a young 30-some-odd British lord. So long as he keeps using that curse, he will always be a young 30-some-odd British lord. And there's no reason for them not to use that curse to clean up. I mean, you get torn up in a fight, you use that curse. Yeah, some of the internal damage is still a bit messed up, but you look clean, you look proper, and you're young again. Why wouldn't you? For them, it's just the normal process. It's just normal life. Some people are like, well, immortality is a curse. It kind of is until you realize that everyone else of your species is the exact same way. Dan will always be there because Dan has always been there. He got into a fight. His spouse, nearly ripped off his testicles. He patched himself up, and he's still mowing the damn lawn. Probably cursing a lot more right now, but still mowing the damn lawn. Okay. Is there anything I missed, Sasquatch, that you would like me to go over?
Not at the moment, but if I come up with something, we can hash it out in DMs.
Okay. What about you, Tribe? Do you got anything you'd like to know about?
Nope, not right now.
Okay. So, I guess we'll wrap this up with something else then, because we're close to time. Also not. Let me check how long this stream's been going on. About an hour and 15 minutes. All right. So we'll wrap up with a bit of other culture. So once again, you do know that they take sentient familiars, though that's a lot less than before, and it's less of a lifetime servitude versus, you're gonna spend maybe a year or two sitting there.
Correct.
Demons can actually store an ungodly amount of spells, so they've always got spells at their fingertips, unlike other magic users. This means that they actually do not use spell slots at all. They can just cast. So they cast what they think is appropriate at the time. Due to transformation, they can technically be anything. Look for the goat-slitted eyes. This means that they could be a crow, they could be a mouse, they could be a bat. It's whatever fits their flair. Once again, keep in mind that some demons have specific habits. So if you see a crow that's extremely elegant looking and well cleaned and everything else, while everything else around it looks kind of tattered and wonky, it's probably a demon. On the same note, if you see a mouse that looks quite unkempt and quite out of place and all that, and you catch a hint of red in their eyes, it's probably a demon. If you got your neighbor waving to you from, down the street, and he's hiding his eyes behind glasses and refuses to show them to you no matter what, it's probably a demon. Now, ways to avoid getting into situations with demons. 1. Find a way to contact them that is not just summoning them. Do not summon them without warrant. 2. Be polite. They are cosmic beings, and they know it. They could give two shits less what you think. Everything is about them. Their egos will dominate. That being said, pushing their egos too far is a quick, great way to find yourself in a bad place real quick.
Mhm.
And 3, if all else fails, try to banish them. There are ways to banish them and send them back to the EverAfter. Banishing them will buy you some time, but keep in mind that the original curse that kept them in place isn't there anymore. If you piss them off bad enough, they will be back, and probably angrier than before. It might stand to reason that it's in your better interest to politely dismiss them or yourself from the situation and let them know that you mean no harm or anything like that. Not that they see you as a threat, but because they want to be in control, and reminding them that they are in control is more likely to stroke their ego and less likely to get you killed.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they're egomaniacs. They have absolutely no issues whatsoever fucking with people.
Yeah.
Okay. Um I already mentioned they mostly are underground. It's just bad habits from the post-war situation. And talked about ley lines a bit. Talked about dollies. Talked about tulpas. I didn't really touch too much on the curses because I want that to be more of a surprise. Talked about demon marks. Talked about the fact that all of them can appear differently. Talked about the fear thing. Trying to think if there's anything else.
Yeah.
Talked about his godchildren. Oh, right. Don't bring up the war.
Oh.
Makes sense.
Yep. Uh-huh. That's cool.
If they bring it up, let them say what they want to say and then let it fall. Do not drag it out. Do not try to push it. But if it's not brought up by them, don't push your luck. And once again,
No,
Al's more...
It's just with the others. Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can see what I'm saying. Oh yeah, their magic obviously can work on other people. So if they touch you and say, hey, you're a mouse now, you're a mouse. True polymorph is in effect. And notice I said true polymorph.
Cool.
Yeah. Alright, I think that's good enough. We never seem to be able to make this last 2 hours. Makes me a little bit sad, but is what is. Alright, well, that was fun. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. I've given Sasquatch plenty of material to work with.
Oh, yeah.
And it does break down the 9 hells and what was originally the Emerald Dream into the EverAfter. But I think it's a good mixture of stuff. Not only that, but it also kind of gives us a bit of influence between the species that allows us to play around a bit more. Not only that, but if you guys haven't already noticed the face stuff kind of in different places, then that's not my fault. Because if you see face stuff, that probably means that either demons or elves are involved. Potentially both. Oh, this also means that I am very glad that Zonkrog is not an elf, because if he was, there would be a bit more begrudginess. Because Ruin is a bit weird, he might look past it a bit. If anything, it might catch curiosity. And once again, since Al is quote-unquote more friendly than other demons, you're probably going to get a pass from him, though probably not from other demons if others show up. Oh, right. I did remember something. They can put your soul in a bottle.
Cool.
Yeah, you say that now. Nothing like being stuck in a bottle for a few hundred years. It's their version of permanent incarceration. Or semi-permanent incarceration. More like isolation cell. Could last 50 years, could last 100, could last a couple hundred. It is what it is.
Alright.
Anyways. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. For our audience, take care, stay safe, stay well, have fun, and we'll see you when we see you. Next week is going to be Pathfinder 2nd Edition, And we're going to see how the party reacts to meeting EverAfter, the first demon they've ever met, and hopefully the nicest. Say hopefully because, no offense, I don't entirely have the most trust in my party not to somehow screw this up.
Well, they didn't listen to this episode, so.
I mean, maybe Demon has. I did let him know that, all that. Anyways, take care, stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you guys all next time. Later.
Bye.
Bye.